Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Soul Goals podcast. My name is Dawn, and right next to me, we have the lovely.
And Dixie.
Yes. And I was just saying, if you're not watching this, you should be because Dixie has the most beautiful, cozy sweater on today in
It
this
is
cold
so
weather we
cozy.
have.
This
Yeah,
cold weather, it's like in the 40s. That's like it might as well be a tundra.
right. As she's sipping on her coffee, which I
Mm-hmm.
was very envious of a little bit ago. I might just have to go grab me one here in a second because it looks so good. I mean, and I feel really crazy saying, yeah, it's 40 degrees outside, and I'm like so cold.
Right?
But
Right?
you know,
And I feel like too, who was it that like November, we're at the end of November, I guess. I mean, I don't
yeah.
know when it'll be way later than this when this releases, but I feel like every month has gone by so like slowly, like October was so slow. And I'm
Mhm.
just like, no, I don't even feel like we had a November. It's very strange.
Well, we are currently at the end of November when we're taking
Mm-hmm.
this, which is you're very right. You're very true here. Yeah, very
Like
true.
it's like a snap. I'm like, what just happened
Yeah.
to November? It's gone.
I think that's us getting older.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe, maybe
I
not.
don't know. I
Um,
don't know. Maybe. Oh
So,
gosh.
guys, this week's opportunity to dive deeper into our soul goals was exploring how food feeds our soul, specifically feeding your soul, with 3 different times as a minimum this week of trying something new food wise for your body, whether it's something that you make, whether it's a place that you go and you experience, or whether it's a regular place you go and ordering something different off the menu. Just having a variety and a little bit of spontaneity in your food and how that helps to maybe change up your body composition. And I don't say body composition in the fact that you're going to lose weight or you're going to gain weight immediately from eating something, but how it makes you feel, how that preface of food feeds you on a deeper level other than just physicality. And by trying new things, a lot of times we open up new opportunities and new avenues. It's just anything. So, food is a big piece for me because I feel like when it's made with love and it's made with care, it has a different feeling when I eat it. Now, that sounds like I'm crazy.
No, and you
But
also
I'm
can't
saying,
turn it down if it's made with love.
yeah, yes. Well, there's that for sure. Yes, for sure. But I just feel like, when you go to somebody's house and they treat you, they're making food for you, and you're
Mm-hmm.
gathered in the kitchen and they're finishing it up, and it's just good company that you're with. And then they plate the food and you sit down together as a group and you just feel like, oh, the fellowship around this time with this food that we're having is it's all just fits so beautifully together. And
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
really believe that the calories we take in when that happens are I just think that it's a positive. I think it's a
Oh
positive.
yeah. They're totally free. Um, I my favorite thing about what you're talking about is I have a very small kitchen, but it's like a separate room from it's an older house and it's not an open concept. And so we have a dining room, we have a living room, but if people are in either one of those rooms and I'm in the kitchen, like we're in separate rooms. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yeah, yeah,
So
totally.
I have a butcher block in the center of our kitchen, and it is not out of the question. It's more likely than not that while I'm cooking, even if we have a people over for dinner, we all end up just standing in my tiny kitchen
Yeah.
and just chit chatting. And I usually do a charcuterie board on the butcher block, so people will just hang out in the
Oh,
room with me.
nice,
And
nice.
that's my favorite thing. I'm like, I'll do a beautiful tablescape and I'll have things, and we
Yeah,
all end up right there in my tiny little kitchen while I'm
funny.
cooking. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah, there's just a really cool energy about that, and I love hosting my husband's family for Thanksgiving and for Christmas, and I mean, there's buku people in our house. There's lots of little ones running around, pulling tails of dogs and all things, and but it's so heartfelt rewarding to be able to make this food for the guests and for the people that I love and the people that I care for. And then
Hmm.
for us all to sit down and take part in it, and the fellowship, like I said, the fellowship that goes along with it is just as much as the feeding your soul, on a physical layer in terms of what you're ingesting and taking in.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's so much more fun to eat with people
Yes.
than alone.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. I remember going on a retreat, a women's retreat. It was shortly after I'd had my first child, and I had not met any of the women that I was going on the retreat with. Had done uh, a lot of deep diving into the retreat leader. And so I knew what she was offering. And I was like, I can't go wrong. And we actually, all of us were from the eastern side of the United States. And we met in California and we stayed at a really great place for 7 days. And we all took part in cooking the food and participating together as a group. And then there were a couple of days where you were not allowed into the kitchen at all. And she had
Oh
this
wow.
really, really nice, yeah, she had this really, really nice rotating kind of schedule. So you got a couple of days where you had no food prep to do, no cleanup to do, and where it was these other women were waiting on you, but they were doing it from a place of love and care, and what that really felt like to have yourself doted over in that way as a woman who provides all of the stuff for the household 99% of the time, and does the cooking and does the food prep and the planning for everything, goes to the store, does, and I'm generalizing, but because that's just kind of the role that women have taken on legitimately.
Hmm.
But if you do that so much and then you step outside of that role, it's really kind of a cool thing to get that, to get that feeling that you're giving other people.
Oh yeah. I have a there's a girl that works with me, and she said the other day, I was talking about how I love Thanksgiving, and she's like, I do not. I the holidays stress me out, and she said because I'm always doing all the things and my family's having a great time, and I always want to have a great time with my family. And so she ended up she was so excited yesterday when I saw her. She said, I'm so excited. I have purchased a Thanksgiving package
Okay.
that so I am going to get to have fun with my family because this restaurant is making my Thanksgiving dinner. I said,
Good. Well, you know
that's
what? That's
fantastic.
awesome. I think it's
Right?
awesome. You
Right.
have
I
to,
loved it.
yeah, you got to know what feeds your soul and what you need the most of. So I am
Yes.
interested to hear, before we hit the record, I was like, well, mine's kind of probably pretty standard for the week. It's an interesting little story, but it's, not crazy or anything. You're like, ah, girl, I got you. So I can't wait to hear, I can't wait to hear your experiences of creating new food or trying new food and what that did to your heart, what that did to your soul, how that made you feel,
Mhm.
and all of the things in between.
Yeah. So, as we all know, I work in a restaurant,
Right?
and there are a lot of people that work in the back of the house that do a lot of our cooking and prepping that are from different countries. And so what we do is a lot of times during the week, somebody will cook what we call a family meal, and it's usually from where it's something that they grew up eating.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of like rice and soups and I mean delicious stuff. So one of our ladies made like a stew or
Mhm.
whatever, but it had cactus in
What?
it. Yes, I've never had that, and it was delicious.
Well, how do you even fix that, I wonder?
I don't even know because I didn't watch them fix it or make it, but creating, particularly in some cultures, for the people that I work with, like when they create food and they give it to you, that's like a huge deal. Like they're showing their love for you by giving
Right.
you this bowl of food, and I'm whatever they're cooking, I'm trying because it is
Yeah.
always delicious, but it has just this distinct flavor. And then I said, well, what is this? Like, what is that? And because it was just this big green thing
Okay.
um that looked like I mean, it's like it looked like a vegetable, but it wasn't a vegetable I recognized. But
Yeah.
it like just looks like vegetable in the, but it was like a bigger piece.
Yeah.
And I said, what is this? And they're cactus. I was like, cactus?
Right?
And so I tried it, and it was, I mean, it was good. It wasn't bad. It didn't
Yeah.
have really a flavor. It kind of reminded me of oh, what am I trying to say? Like zucchini or
Yeah.
squash. It's not, doesn't have a huge flavor to it, but it's kind of that texture.
Yes. Okay.
So yeah, it was, but it's like a light green color, like almost a limey green color, which is why I was like, oh, what is this? So Yeah,
Well,
so it
I
was
think
good.
cactus. I think
Yeah,
the first thing I think of is, like, my cactus plant with the little spikes on the outside of it.
yes,
I mean,
I
how
know.
like, and how carefully you would have to prepare that, you know
Yeah,
what I'm saying, to go into a
mhm,
recipe? But I also love that your restaurant does that once a week, that the different ethnicities that work within your facility there are
mhm,
bringing their culture to life for everybody else to take part
mhm.
in.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
and
it's
there's
brilliant.
staples that, like, staples that everybody uses that our GM makes sure, that we have in the restaurant so they can use
Oh,
them or whatever, but, yeah, and, in a restaurant, you have these ginormous, like, kettles and pots, and
yeah.
anytime I see them in one of those that I don't normally see during the day, I'm like, "Ooh, we're getting
Something
something good
good's gonna
today. Something
happen.
good's coming." Yeah.
I love
Yes,
that. Hey.
yes, and so, they've made that for me, and then also, I have a kid who he makes tamales, and he'll, um which tamales are really delicious,
Yeah.
but he brought one morning a fruit tamale.
Oh,
So, it's like the corn that's in a tamale, but it was sweet instead of savory.
okay.
Delicious.
Oh
And I
god.
told him, I said, "Next time you're making those tamales, I'm gonna need you to make me some more of those little fruit things you got going on there because it was
Yeah.
so good."
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
Dude,
it was so good.
yeah, and I love the fact that, again, I just go back to that whole people that are bringing their culture to you, and the fact that that love, that's how they show their love, how they express their care for
Mhm.
another person is cooking for them. I think, gosh, we can all take a page out of that playbook for sure.
Yeah, I had somebody tell me one time, and this will lead into the 3rd that I have several foods just being there that I've tried, but,
Yeah.
um, this will lead me into the 3rd one, but they said, "Don't ever, don't turn food down because, you know, they'll take that as you want my food, and
Right.
they'll never offer." Well, they're back there cooking one day, and I come around, they're like, "Dixie, do you want do you want some food?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "What you got today?" And she said it in Spanish, and I didn't understand it. And I looked, and I was like, "What is that?" And she said, "Liver." And I was
Oh,
like,
no.
"Oh." And I said, "Okay." And then she said, "Do you not like liver?" And I said, "Well, I haven't ever had any that I liked in the past as I was when I was a kid. My dad loved liver and onions, and my
Mhm.
mom would make it every once in a while, and then we'd have
Yeah.
to eat it, and I
Yes.
hated it. Oh, I hated it.
Mm.
Ugh. And so I told her, I said, I will try yours because you've made it and whatever. Do you know it was really good?
Well,
I,
good.
I don't know if maybe my taste buds have changed over the years, but it was delicious. And then it was an organ meat, so it was good for me. There you go.
Right. Win-win
Yeah.
all the way.
I don't know that I would ever buy it and cook it at my own home. I just
Right.
no, I don't think I can do that. But
Well, I
whatever she
grew up
did to it was good.
well, it sounds good to me, it sounds great because I grew up with liver and onions, and I'm the
Mm,
weirdo that does like liver and onions,
you
but you know
love
what?
it.
I still have yet to make it for my family because I know none of my family is even the slightest bit interested
With
in
liver and
trying
onions.
liver and onions, my husband included, yeah. But, I mean, there is nothing like some good old pan skillet liver and onions. Just
Yeah.
gonna there we
Mm.
go, there we
Yeah,
go.
no. The way she made it though, it wasn't like what we're used to. It was almost in this thick, it had like a brown, I would say gravy. I don't know if that's called that, but it was like
Yeah,
darker, and the sauce was really kind of really dark, and it was thicker, and but the I don't know. I just don't remember it tasting anything like that growing up. But growing up, I just felt like it was just it's a rich meat anyway.
yeah, yeah,
I just
totally.
I didn't like it growing up. So maybe I'm growing up. There we
You
go.
might be. Congratulations.
But I'm not anxious to run out and buy any and try it myself at home. Yeah, no.
Yeah,
There's
you're
some
not going
things
there.
there's some things I've had at the restaurant. I'm like, "Ooh, how do you do that?" And then when I start watching them, I'm like, yeah, because it's just so layered upon layer,
Yeah,
flavor upon flavor,
yeah.
and it just comes so natural to
Mm,
them. It's so amazing. I'm like, that just takes a long time, but yeah.
yeah. I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
For me this week, well, actually, it was last week that we did this, that we taping this, and I did food prep with my daughter, with my youngest daughter that lives
Oh
at
yeah.
home. Yeah. And she's been doing this food prep. One of my friends is an amazing nutritionist here in the Nashville area. Shout out Dr. Tiff. I
Oh,
can
that's
throw that,
cool.
yeah, throw that one out on the advertising because she's amazing. And my daughter came to me and she's like, you know what? I really need to expand my food horizons. I feel like I'm eating the same thing over and over and over again. I said, let me contact my friend. This is great. She stepped in and said, let me help. Let's come up with some meal planning and we're going to put it on your daughter. It is on her to do this. She can give you the grocery list, you can get the stuff, and then she's got to make it. And I'm like, bam, perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah. And so again, another win-win. So I watch her do this food prep and she just makes enough for herself for the week and she's eating really, really healthy stuff. And she's again a teenager, so it's not all the time, but it's it's
Yeah.
probably about 85% of the time she's following these different recipes really well. And it's expanding her palate. And it's really been interesting to watch her prepare food and learn how to prepare food. And I stand over her and just kind of, I'm like her sous chef. I'm
I
like her
love
little
it.
shadow, but I've got to let her do it. So there's some really good recipes this one week that we actually did this. And I went, I'm going to get extra at the grocery store instead of just what we needed for that specific week of meal prep for her food. And yeah, I'm going to dive in and have some of these, even though it doesn't sound great to me. Like there was, but again, in an effort to show her that I'm going to play the game too. I can do
That's
this. I'm a
right. I
teammate,
can do
right?
this.
Yeah, yeah. But I found myself going, I really, really enjoyed it. The first one was a mocha smoothie, which was really great. It just uses protein
Ooh,
powder, but it uses
yeah.
my love language. It uses coffee.
Mine
Yay.
too.
Yeah.
Cheers.
There you go. Cheers. Cheers to it. Had some coffee in it, had some vanilla protein powder, had some cocoa, obviously your ice, and then there was and a little bit of vanilla extract in it. It was really, really good. Love, love, love. And again, like I think
Hmm.
you and I privately have talked about as we age, the importance of getting enough protein in our diet and how I feel like much of my days are
Mhm.
spent in, have I ate enough protein?
Mhm.
Did I get enough protein? Am I like, which is really funny because I used to not think about it as much as I do now because it makes a huge difference. I feel better
Heck
mentally and
yeah.
physically if I'm having enough protein in my diet. So,
Heck yeah.
good thing about the mocha smoothie, we had some good protein in it.
There you go. I love it.
And yeah, so then I just went with two other ones as well for these new things. And no bake maple pecan bars. I'm going to send you that recipe.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to smoke a smoothie too.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. Sending it your way. It's so, so, so good. The mocha smoothie was easy. The no bake maple pecan bars were a little more challenging.
Mhm.
Um, we don't have a food processor. And she's like, yeah, where's our food processor? And I was like, well, I don't cook a lot. So you're just gonna have to figure out how to blend that. Like you're gonna have to crush the stuff in the blender to blend it. And
Mhm.
she's like, well, oh, okay. And at one point the blender starts smoking, Dixie. The
Oh
blender was smoking, and
no.
I was just like, "Okay, I have to step in now. Now we have to stop
Oh my
because we
gosh.
messed up." Right, but it turned out great, and I'm just here to say the rest our whole family was, like, walking past and grabbing bites of these no-bake maple pecan bars all week. They were really, really good, and it had a really good protein content within it as well.
Yeah.
Um, and then the last one, which was I'm kind of meh about, was a let me read it, lemon turkey quinoa skillet.
Mm.
So and the lemon
Yeah.
is kind of meh for me,
Oh,
but
okay.
every
Quinoa is kind of meh for me.
is it really?
Well, it's the I've tried it in I've tried, really, really tried to like it and incorporate it into my world. Um, and it's so hard, but you can get these little bags of it's quinoa and brown rice, like a
Yep.
mixture thing. I have
Yeah.
had that and I can tolerate that. It's
Yeah.
I guess it's the texture, but I've really tried to like it, but I don't know. I need if there's somebody out there that has this amazing quinoa recipe, you can send it my way.
Please do. Please do. Yeah, because all we are is pretty basic around here. We're just like the basic quinoa, and we'll just throw the spices in that the recipe says, and there you got it. But
Yeah, yeah.
other than that, Yeah, but this was really the protein content, and this was ground turkey. We just browned
Oh
the
yeah.
turkey in a pot or in a pan, and then everything else that went with it was really nice. It was a good kind of. You talked about layering. It was a kind. It's kind of a layered recipe.
Oh, okay.
The lemon for me is kind of meh, to hit, hit or miss for me. But I
Hmm.
was really proud, pat myself on the back that I didn't just go to my standard protein shake or my standard turkey burger and very basic stuff.
Right. Or chicken and rice and broccoli.
Yes.
I'm like, when
Yes.
in doubt, I know I can eat chicken, rice, and broccoli. I'm good to go.
Yeah, yeah. But I think the bottom line for that I have watched with her prepping her food and that I went to, oh wow, like when I make this for myself instead of everybody else in my world, but I really feed myself with something different because let's face it, the chef doesn't always feed herself. Like if I'm prepping
Hmm.
and making Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner, I am making sure that all of the 30 other people in the house are getting fed and that the food is getting replenished on the little bar area where they're going through to pick up their food. And then I'm going to grab me a plate at the very end and might have to warm it up in the microwave. But,
Yeah.
at that point, everybody's done and I want to clean up because it's my love language. It's
Right.
doing the things for people like that.
Yes.
But doing this for myself was like a really interesting exercise in taking care of myself from a really healthy standpoint. And one can say, oh, yeah, well, you know what goes into it. So, from a health standpoint, in terms of the ingredients, you know what you're actually ingesting.
Hmm.
But again, if we're going to our soul goals, I want to really highlight the fact that when you take the time and the effort to prepare your food, even if it's just like you said, chicken and broccoli and rice, it's something that we kind of get bored with. But if we take the time to do that and put it together, and we're not just relying on someone else to we're going to go get takeout, which we have to do, which my family has to do regularly just because of our schedules all over the place.
Right.
But when we've got the time to do something like this, it just it sits differently in my body.
Hmm.
That's weird, but it
Hmm.
really does.
Hmm. No, it does. It does. That's really cool too.
Okay.
Your maple pecan bar, is there maple syrup in it?
Yeah. Yes.
I just found a well, I say I found, my coach shared with me. It's like a, I'm not keto at all. It just says it on the bottle that it's a keto friendly
Mhm.
maple syrup that's made with it's like a sugar free. It's like an alternative. And it's amazing. I wonder if I could use that in this maple bar.
Oh, I would think so. Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
I use it and this was new for me too, but I use that. I'll just take turkey sausage, like breakfast turkey sausage, and brown it and pour that maple syrup on it, like with, and mix like eggs or sweet potato or something like that. And it's a
Ooh,
delicious breakfast scramble. It's so good and good for you,
that sounds amazing.
right? And I just,
Okay.
do you have an air fryer?
You know what? That's one thing we don't have.
I have just come into this air frying frenzy. I've had an air
Mhm.
fryer and used it maybe a couple times, and then my husband got like excited about some recipe in the air fryer, so we've pulled it out just recently, like this week.
Okay.
And I put butternut squash in there, and it's delicious. So
Okay.
anyway,
But
yeah.
butternut squash for me, I think is another really kind of a strange vegetable.
Myself included, I've tried making, like in the past, I tried to make like a butternut squash soup because it looks so creamy and delicious,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
just what fell flat for me. I've tried ro- roasting it, didn't really care for it. And
Yeah.
then my coach said she does it in the air fryer, just salt, pepper, garlic in the air fryer.
Oh,
And
easy.
I did that. She puts it on the French fry setting. And so I did that. So it's kind of crispy on the outside and a little mushy on the inside. And I did that with like ground beef
Yeah.
and a little bit of that maple syrup. It was so
Oh, it sounds great. It sounds like a really nice compliment, the
good.
maple syrup.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. These are things I wouldn't have thought of. And I even forgot about those in our Feed Your Soul this week.
Yeah.
I did that this week. So
Well, you know how interesting it is, and people that are not watching this, you can't see it, but, like, when you talk about it, like, something new like that, you, like, light up.
yeah, I love stuff. I love food though. It is no it is no secret. I love food. I love to
Okay.
make it. I love to prepare it. I love to
Yeah.
eat it. I love to have it made for me.
Yeah.
I love to go to a restaurant and try new things. I don't know. I'm a foodie. I love food. And I'm okay with that.
Well, I mean, look, I'm the same way. And I think that if we can take anything from this feed your soul, it's the fact that making sure that you are addressing your needs and that you are taking the time to sit down every so often through your week and just really enjoy your food. That's another thing that I think we take for granted. So the fact that you enjoy it like you do, the creating of it, the eating it, the serving other people is a big deal. And you know what? I'm going to go back to that retreat that we went on
Hmm.
back years ago. And another thing that every meal that we had, now granted, we were in a little bubble for 7 days, right? So it's not something, then I came home to a screaming infant and a crazy business. And I was like, how do I make all of this great stuff
How
fit
do
my
I make
life?
this
Yeah,
apply to my
it's like
life?
I had to take like a fraction of what I could take from that beautiful 7 days into my crazy world.
Hmm.
But one of the big things that I took from that was taking time, at least one of my meals at that time of my life, that season of my life was so busy.
Hmm.
One of my meals, I had to make sure I was sitting at a table with no phone near me, no newspaper or book near me, and just sitting. I could play music if I wanted to, but no television, just sitting and enjoying my food. It really
Hmm.
my food, chewing my food, tasting my food. Like we are
Hmm.
such a human race of just eating in the car, eating while we're standing over the kitchen sink, eating while we're walking through the house. I
Hmm.
am telling you, I'm the poster child for that just because of being so go, 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 go kind of personality. Um,
Yeah, just scarfing it down. I think I texted you
mm,
that earlier. I'm scarfing down a sandwich.
that's right. You did. That's right.
I,
Like I'm not here knocking it, but I'm saying
right.
the thing that I understood about me was that sitting down and actually enjoying my food really, really, for the lack of sounding like a crazy person, made me digest it better,
Hmm.
gave me made me feel fuller faster because I was just being more mindful about what it was taking in. And I think another really interesting concept that a lot of us go to is when we go to a restaurant and you look at those serving sizes. Now, like you working in a restaurant,
Hmm.
you get to see that regularly. And the
Hmm.
serving sizes, I know from your background, you talk about like being really mindful of your nutritional content and what it is you're putting in your body. The amount is like the serving sizes are like 5 fists together, and it should only
Hmm.
be like 1 fist. It was just
Right.
crazy,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
So
it's definitely, yeah, restaurants. You can order, um, we can easily go to restaurants and order an entree and ask for a to-go box immediately and just put half of it in there.
yeah, yeah,
And that's plenty.
yeah. But I think for so many of us, when we go out and we go to a restaurant and we're experiencing such good food that there's a piece like in our brain that clicks and says, I'm never going to have this again. I have to eat all of it right now. And if I don't, I'm going to be sorry.
No, you're exactly right. I was
No,
telling
right?
somebody the other day, I said, I love food and this gentleman that I work with, it's so funny because he's another manager and we often work the same shifts together. So we'll have a meal together while we're at the restaurant. And I'm always like, I can eat, I can eat him under the table. And I told him, I was like, man, I can eat circles around you. And I said, because my deal is if it's delicious, I don't care if I'm full or not.
Yeah.
I don't want to stop because it's so good. And
Yeah.
for a lot of years, there was a lot of shame around eating for me. Just from my background, we've talked about it before,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
on other podcasts. But um, so to get to the point where, I mean, I used to would never want to say, "Oh, I love food. I love to eat," because I would feel like that was, ooh. And
Yeah.
I choose to, and I don't get it perfect every day. And I certainly, if I'm super busy at work, I don't always do it right or get it right. But it's why I'm so mindful
Yeah.
about how much protein, like we were talking about, and how much this and how much that. Because if I'm not mindful, I will just I will just love it to a fault.
Right. Right. Right.
I'll overindulge and
Yeah.
but it's so I don't know. Food is delicious.
Right. Well, our relationship with food can be so
Mhm.
complicated. It
Mhm.
really, really can, depending upon whatever season you are in your life. I know with my background with an eating disorder, then let's talk about being complicated. And
Yeah.
yeah, we've talked about it before. You have to have food to survive. So
Mhm.
how do I work through and get to a place where my relationship with food is healthy enough where I'm going to be at a party or I'm going to be with a group of people here or responsible for something, and gosh, what am I going to do if this trigger kicks in? How am I going to
Mhm.
handle it? So, a lot of that eating disorder awareness is understanding what those triggers are and getting a better handle on your relationship with food and what it really does for you. And I had a really wonderful, wonderful woman as my nutritionist throughout that whole time in my life that was really great about explaining that food is this sustenance point that is really, it can be really beautiful. Your
Mhm.
relationship with food can be very profitable on both sides, if you will.
Mhm.
It can be very, you come at it from a place of love and care for your body. And once I started making that flip in my head that, first of all, I deserved to be well. But
Mhm.
second of all, I deserved to feel loved and treat myself with integrity and respect. And what that really meant for me was creating a really good relationship around food, and that I didn't have to restrict or I didn't have to overeat. And I could be somewhere in the middle. And sometimes it may mean I'm eating more than I intend to, and sometimes I'm eating less. But as long as the precipitous around us, around the whole subject, is that self care,
Mhm.
then, then you're good. Then you're
Oh,
good.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure, and I love that light bulb, when we have those light bulb moments, because there are still times now where I'm like, "Oh, I shouldn't have eaten that," and then I have to take a step back and be like, "Why not?" Like, am
Right.
I just saying that because that's the narrative that I'm used to saying, or should I really not have for a legitimate reason, you know?
Yeah.
Is it pushing me? Is it pushing the needle towards my goal or not? Is it making me feel shame? Why? There's so many things. And there are times in my life where I'm like, I would be angry, like that it's so complicated for me when it comes to food. And now I'm just like, it's okay. Now I'm not going to be
Yeah.
mad. It just is what it is. And we deal with it as it comes because had a really busy week at work this past week. And there was one day I was just literally just grabbing what I could grab to eat. I was just
Yeah.
because I was so busy. And I told her, I said, I just was, it was not a good food day. And she said, why don't you go ahead and just track it anyway? And you're
Mhm.
going to see that it's really not near as detrimental as you're thinking it is. And
Yeah.
she was right. She
Yeah.
was absolutely right.
Yeah. That's
But,
that black and white mentality. It's that all or none mentality. I think we talked about
mm-hmm,
on one of our previous podcasts about that. We are either the walk it out where it's like, if we are not just crushing our souls, if we're just going for a nice, easy walk, it's really not benefiting us. It's that all
right.
or none. Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
same kind of thing. Like it, people will think if I have messed up my food for the day, then screw it. Day's over. I'm
Mm-hmm,
just going to throw in the towel. And like, I love what your coach said. Like, let's just track it just to give you the information that in your brain, it's
mm-hmm.
not really what you're making it out to be, because our brains are so complex and we have these little, these little triggers
Right.
inside there from old things that will go, woof,
Right.
here we
Right.
go.
No, for sure, and it's true because tracking is not, um I track food not to limit myself, so to speak, and what she's helped me with is it's just data. Like,
Right.
we need the data because you've got some things you're trying to accomplish, so if we get to certain places and you're not reaching certain goals or something else is happening, let's go back and look at the data
Right.
and see if we can't figure it out, and so, yeah, but, I mean, yeah, so that's food. Food. It's always a big deal, whether it's new or not.
Yes. God, I'm with you. And I don't know that it's I don't know that that idea goes away, but I think
Mhm.
it shifts. I think as
Yeah.
we evolve and as we experience and as we learn more about ourselves, again, I just go back to the idea of why are we doing what we're doing for this year? Why are we
Mhm.
doing these week-long opportunities to figure out something deeper about ourselves. It's because we're meant to evolve. We're meant
Mhm.
to grow, and we're meant to understand deeper parts of ourselves so that we can be better for our family, be better for ourselves, show up
Mhm.
for ourselves,
Oh,
show up
yeah.
for our loved ones. Yeah.
I saw you just said the word trigger, and I saw this, post today that a good friend of mine made, and she said that we often use the word trigger, um, to represent something that is causing something negative to come up. We're
Mhm.
triggered. And she said she recently saw somebody use the word glimmer. And
Okay.
a glimmer is something that like raises you higher, causes good to bubble up instead of anger. And
Mm.
so she said, instead of always being on the defensive and being triggered, I've started looking for glimmers. Isn't that cool?
Oh, it's beautiful.
And it totally changes your perspective. It's the same thing in what we're talking about because there were um, even in talking about these new foods, working in a restaurant, and when I'm tracking my macros and getting my protein and all these things, and then I'm offered this plate of food, um, and I take it because I'm going to eat it because she made it with love, but my mind is going, okay, how are you going to track that? Oh, this is not in your plan. Da, da, da. And
Mm.
and then I have to remind myself the glimmer in it is it's not that deep. It's a bowl of soup. It's a
Yeah.
bowl of soup. And
Yeah.
and she's loving you with this bowl of soup. And there's nothing in this soup that is going to keep you from being able to do what you want to do. She didn't give you a bowl of grease or a bowl of lard or a bowl
Mhm.
of,
Right.
or anything like that. She didn't give you a bowl of poison. You're okay.
Right.
You know, and
Oh, man.
instead of I stopped the reel immediately. I was like, nope, no, I'm going to eat this because she made it with love. And everything that's in this bowl is good for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it
I'm
doesn't.
proud of you. That's a big
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, so that's stepping out and taking the trigger away
Mhm.
and making it something different, and being
Yep.
okay with that, and it's totally fine.
Yeah, you just totally reframed it.
Yeah,
Totally reframed it, which is
yeah.
really a beneficial thing for a lot of us. I don't think that a lot of us think on that opposite side very often. It's because it's hard because 'cause we're used
Mhm,
to the conditioned, comfortable stuff. Like, since we're talking about food, I'm used to the same things. I'm used to the conditional stuff. I'm used to "This makes sense. This is easy. I know this works for me." And that's good, and I
mhm,
understand that there's dietary restrictions for a lot of people that cannot expand for one reason or another.
sure.
But I think when we open up our mindset to the fact of there's not this was for me anyway, there's not good foods and
Mhm.
bad foods. I'm using the little air quotes there.
Right, right.
It's just food is food.
It's just food.
It's just food. It's just a bowl of
Mhm.
soup.
Right? Just a bowl of soup, and it was
Oh,
delicious, and it had cactus in it, and there you go.
perfect. Perfect.
Right?
Dixie,
That's
I
it.
love these talks with you. I
I do
love it.
too.
Love
They're
it.
so fun.
Yeah,
They're
yeah, I
so
think
fun.
it's we always end up at the end of our talk going down a completely different road, but we circle back to it, and I love it because it's so indicative of our thought process as people and how we get into something and then how it opens us up to different avenues of thought and different things to contemplate. So I walk away from our conversations and I think differently about stuff. So I want to thank you for being that person for me. I
Oh, well,
appreciate it.
thank you. This is loads of fun for me, and I am also growing a bit,
Yay. Okay, well, that's
doing
what we're
things
all
out of my comfort zone, but I love it. This is what it's
yeah,
about, right? If we're not growing, then if we're not moving, we're not growing, then we're not, living. So
right,
let's
right,
do
and
it.
it's we're meant to experience it. We are meant to
Hmm.
experience it. We are meant to live our best lives, and we deserve to do so.
Absolutely. What a
Yeah,
gift. I love
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. All right, kids, well, go out and feed your soul today, something good for you, and,
Yeah.
yeah, if you got some good recipes, shoot them to us. We'd love to hear
Hmm.
it.
Yes. Have
Mhm.
some cactus. You won't regret it.
There you go. Make sure you pull the noodles off first, though.
That's right. Yes. Do.
All right, till next week, guys. I'm Dawn.
And I'm Dixie.
All right, we'll see you next time.